This week's The Good, the Pod, the Ugly episode, Hard Target, is brought to you by the Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana, reminding you that Louisiana is the other LA.
Is that really their slogan? Or are you just puntastic this morning?
Oh, we're going to have a lot of other... we're sponsored this episode, so we're going to have a lot of...
We're going to hear a lot more from the Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana.
Correct.
I see.
The FSBL.
That's cinema, baby.
Sonny Corleone was a Long Island tough, big eggplant energy, but it wasn't enough. Quattro lived in a belly, but he got one in the brain. My feet exploded messy, driving RoboCop insane. Clyde had a gun for fighting, Bonnie wanted one for fun. They was only 24 and 25, and she got 26 shots when they died. And there was squibs when they died.
Hello and welcome to season 15 of The Good, the Pod, and the Ugly, a film podcast where we traditionally pair films from a director or notable actor. This season, which is season 15, like I said, is our Squib game season, or Squib season, whatever. And we are covering the mostly practical, lately digital effect known as the Squib, and we're doing it through a specially curated series of films, which we're talking about. Anybody want to dive into what films we're pairing this week?
Well, this is Thomas, and this pairing I like to think of as calling Daddy Issues. Because we're pairing Hard Target with the Terminator.
Woo. Oh, I'm Ken, other host.
I'm Ryan.
If you listen to earlier episodes this season, you'll know exactly what a squib is. But one point of clarification, if you hadn't, a squib could either be something on a person that explodes blood, like getting shot, or it could be a practical effect like on a car or a police car, like in the Terminator that we'll be talking about, or trees or buildings, etc. And we are doing a temporal pincer movement, which is how we are pairing the films. Ryan, do you want to take a stab at what a temporal pincer movement is?
Yes, when we set out to focus on a filmography or a thematically tied series like we are this time, we try and use our patented temporal pincer movement, looking at the last film in a series and the first film, and then working our way towards the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you're a listener and a stan, which you're not if you're listening to this, we have 0 of those. But if you, if you're really following along, you'll say, wait, Hard Target's 1993. They jumped from Elephant, 2003. They skipped most of the 90s to get here.
Why is that?
Because Ken hates post-Tarantino Drek? Is that?
I think it's because we have a very special pairing this week.
Mm-hmm.
Not to spoil what both of these films have in common, which we'll cover during the Terminator episode, but they both have a little dude, a miniature man.
Harlan Ellison.
Is he
Lance Henriksen, yeah.
Mm. Hell yeah. It's a Lance-a-thon.
Yeah.
Double feature, one of the great...
Millennium's Lance Henriksen.
Yeah. And before we go further, because there are a lot of great squibs in both of these movies, particularly the one we're talking about today, are we glorifying screen violence by covering the squib? I know Thomas in some of your show notes has mentioned it. I don't feel that we are, because the technical aspect of the squib really came of age and started dying out in the 80s. So a lot of the squibs we're talking about is almost a historical artifact, and in no way are we glorifying on-screen blood and gore.
I don't think we have a big enough platform to glorify such things personally.
Well, yeah, think big. Go on.
Maybe when we reach our 100th listener, I'll become reflective and concerned.
Okay.
So, of course, this episode was brought to you by the Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana, who would like you to know that there's been many wonderful films that show off the new LA since Hard Target. I guess they've reached out to us. Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana would like to remind listeners of a few other movies that are shot in Louisiana, have a prominent part in the state, the Pelican State. The first of these that they're asking me to read is To Lanyap and Perish in LA. So that's actually something we're going to cover later this season. I've not seen it before, but here's the summary that they're giving me. From William Friedkin, a fearless Secret Service agent working in Orleans Parish will stop at nothing to bring down the man who killed his partner, a psychopathic counterfeiter passing Mardi Gras coins as gold doubloons and Arbita beer as actual beer. And then I guess their tagline is, so come take some shots in the other LA. So if you want to clean that up, Ken, put the music, the Zydeco music behind it, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Will do. Yeah. Hard Target.
Yeah.
John Woo's first American film.
Yeah. In 1993, you could watch 2 films by Spielberg in the top 10 that year.
Mhm.
Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. You could watch 2 films that Eastwood, I believe, is in. No, he's not in A Perfect World.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah.
And then In the Line of Fire.
Yeah.
And of course, we've also covered Red Rock West, a hidden gem with Nicolas Cage hulking out.
Mhm. And Dennis Hopper, directed by John Dahl. That was a good one.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Is that it?
Yeah, for 93, yeah.
Okay. Kind of a lot of Spielberg and Eastwood.
Oh, yeah.
1993 was a year I worked at a movie theater with a guest from a couple weeks ago, Eric, and we ran Hard Target. At that time, we had all gotten into, not all, like the entire theater, but like Eric and I and our little nerd group were into John Woo and had seen his Better Off Tomorrow movies, Bullet in the Head, The Killer, and Hard Boiled. So we were an unusually primed audience for Hard Target when it was released. What about you guys?
Since, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times.
Okay.
I was 14 and not able to go to R-rated motion pictures in the theater just yet. And for some reason, I didn't sneak into this one. I was a big JVCD fan, but as I said in the text, honestly, if I remember, grunge was starting and the mullet just completely turned me off. I could not go see a movie with that mullet at the time. It just reeked of uncool. So this is the first time I saw it, was for this podcast here.
Yeah, it was like looking in a mirror, wasn't it?
I mean, if I look now, then yeah, I'm closing in on the JVCD length over here. But
whatever you feel about the actual film, I believe his mullet in this film is top 5 screen mullets of all time.
Can you name the other 4 just by?
Well, I mean, MacGruber would probably be in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, MacGruber would be in there. I think Billy Ray Cyrus in Mulholland Drive. Great mullet.
Okay.
He's only in one scene. And then Charlie Sheen in, what was that undercover cop movie he did? Also had a sweet ass mullet.
I can see the VHS cover, but I can't think of it.
And does Mel Gibson? That's not really a mullet though in Lethal Weapon, is it?
It was a mullet, yeah.
Okay.
I think I would count it as a mullet.
Anyway, that's our next podcast. We're going to do mullet season next.
Mullet time.
What about you, Thomas?
Have you ever had a mullet?
No mullet. No mullet. I don't think I saw this until, I don't know, maybe in the last 10 years. The spouse and I went on a JCVD kick. Pun intended? Yeah.
Woot!
So I've seen a majority of the late 80s and 90s Jean-Claude Van Damme films.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But did not see this when it came out, or didn't have a copy until now of the Blu-ray.
Okay. So you came at Hard Target on the other side of the whole Woo, the whole thing of the Woo thing.
I had already seen like a few of the Hong Kong films and Face Off.
Okay. I think that's an interesting cutoff point for myself as a early Woo fan and other people who maybe come to it from a different angle.
Yeah, I saw the Better Luck Tomorrow series, but it wasn't until after Face Off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we should say that the film he made right before this in Hong Kong, Hard Boiled, is for a lot of aficionados one of the greatest action films of all time.
Yes.
So for a fan of his Hong Kong cinema coming into this movie, the expectations were impossibly high. Even though it was kind of a B movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was just coming up from straight to video, 1 week, one and done type films, before he became briefly like a name actor for like real movies.
I'm going to push back on that because he has a cameo in Last Action Hero as himself in the same year, so he's already known.
He's he's known as kind of like the Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris never elevated beyond being the face of B movies.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And Jean-Claude Van Damme for a bit, and this movie kind of started his run where he was trying for the A-list. He was trying for what Schwarzenegger did, which we'll talk about next week a little bit.
Yeah, so what I think is
it's fascinating that he seems like really a product of the VHS era, because I assume Bloodsport played in a theater at some point, but that and Kickboxer became like mythic amongst my friend group.
Oh yeah.
And we would watch them whenever we got the chance to sneak one in.
I mean, there was like the Jeff Speakmans, the Michael Dudikoffs, all those guys of that era, and they were all trying to get to that Schwarzenegger magical A-list. And Van Damme was probably the one that got closest.
He could do the splits. That was a big deal.
It was in his contract, man, in his contract.
So there originally was like a 2-hour cut of this film. I think you could still watch it. I didn't watch I don't know if you got the 4K Ultra HD restored version from Eric.
No.
It has the unrated director's cut. I did not either. But the original version of this was an NC-17 film that I think they had to cut out about a dozen scenes. And I guess Jean-Claude Van Damme got into the editing room at some point and helped cut out about 30 minutes of the film to focus it more on himself.
Because it sounds like it was a classic Woo two-hander where Fouchon, the Lance Henriksen character, and then Chance Boudreau, the Van Damme character, they almost had equal footing, it sounds like, making the climax in their eventual, face-off.
That makes so much sense about how Lance Henriksen appears in this movie, because like his first scene, it seems like we're already supposed to know who he is and what he's doing, but we've never seen him before.
It's also going to happen sometimes in movies where you are introduced to a character. So there's a start to the film.
What I mean to say, because I kind of said it a little incorrectly, we do meet him during the introduction in a way that makes sense. But the next time we pick up with him, it feels like we're already supposed to know the mechanics of the operation and his role in it. And he's just like on the side getting updates. Doesn't feel like a complete performance in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a hands-on executive in this.
Yeah.
The other part that might help with your watch or your mental rewatch right now, Ryan, is originally what didn't take place in New Orleans. And I don't know if the Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana had any involvement in this, but it did get moved over. Whatever Kurt Russell, Woo's first choice, wouldn't be able to make the film. He was booked out for about 2 years, and so they decided to go with Jean-Claude Van Damme instead.
Wow.
And of course, if he's not Canadian, then he needs to be, a Cajun.
Yeah.
To be able to explain the accent.
Which kind of does, but New Orleans plays quite a character in this film. It's a fairly good New Orleans set film if you're a fan of the city. And when you're on your honeymoon, for instance, in New Orleans, and you go to HARD TARGÉT filming locations, like some of us, all of us, right? A lot of the locations are still there. They look a lot different. Obviously, they're still there. Particularly the square where the homeless people are. It doesn't look anything like that. It's just like a tourist trap. They dressed it up quite nice in that.
Yeah.
And I haven't been back since Katrina. Are the streets pretty much empty during the middle of the day unless there's somebody being shot at?
Yeah, the French Quarter is very depopulated in this movie at night compared to anybody who's ever been there at night on any day of the year.
Well, it's like most New Orleans films, the only part of New Orleans that actually exists is the Quarter. Like you would get, when I visited, I was surprised to find out how tiny a part of the city that was and how big.
Yeah, it's only like 25% at one point.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow, that's fine.
Well done.
This year, Hendrickson has like a cage level, not this year being 2025, but the year that this came out, like a Nicolas Cage level of commitment to projects.
Yeah.
Because Excessive Force is this year. A movie called Man's Best Friend, which I think I saw on television. The Outfit, Knights. This movie, The Criminal Mind. And that wasn't enough. He has a small appearance in Super Mario Brothers.
He does?
That's what Wikipedia says. He is the king.
He was a working man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lance Henriksen, for a time, he would appear in anything. He would appear in a school play for a sub sandwich.
He's like the action movie Steve Buscemi.
Mm-hmm.
Just hundreds of titles.
Does anybody want to take a shot at the plot of this movie?
Oh, no.
No. If you haven't seen Hard Target, you've already talked about Van Damme, Henriksen, John Woo. It is a underground hunting club for rich assholes who give $10,000 to somebody they've vetted as being of no family whatsoever, and they chase them through the streets of New Orleans. And if they get to the river, they get $10,000 on a money belt. And the whole goal is to guys who want to feel what it's like to kill another human being. That's what they get to do. Instead of hunting dogs, they have dudes on motorcycles chasing them. And Van Damme gets involved as kind of he gets paid to help the daughter of the guy who gets killed in the opening. And then he kind of is part of unraveling this underground hunting club, which is run by Lance Henriksen and the Mummy, Arnold Vosloo, right? Vosloo?
Yeah. I always think of him as the second Dark Man.
Oh, is he the second Dark Man?
He is, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense because of the Raimi connection. Sam Raimi is a producer on this, and he shoehorned his brother in a scene in the French Quarter.
Yeah. I mean, he's not just the producer. I think he was supposed to be a chaperone for Wu, who didn't speak much, if any, English, despite my understanding that Raimi doesn't speak any Mandarin or other Chinese dialect.
But they both were able to talk movies, and Wu could at least say this is a peck and paw. So they knew, okay, well, this is slow motion. Yeah, and Raimi was also like flack for Wu when the producers from Hollywood would come around and wonder what the heck was going on in this production. And then he was kind of the bulwark, separate the two and just let him do his stuff. And then, of course, once the movie is made, like you said, Thomas, 30 minutes of it got hacked away. And they cut out a lot of the stuff which are like signature shots of Wu, which would unfortunately come to define him and I think lessen his impact as a director. But I
guess the other Raimi connection is the writer. Chuck Farrar wrote Darkman, the first one.
Yeah. And this is a surprisingly plotty film. And I think plotty with a T, not a D.
Yeah.
Although, Ryan, you may disagree. Where there's every time I watch it, there's like more plot in the first 40 minutes than I remember. And it really takes about 40 minutes for any action other than the opening to really begin. So it takes its time, and which is either a feature or a bug.
Yeah.
Because at 40 minutes you get hit Lance playing the piano
forever. It looks like a perfume commercial or a cologne commercial. Yeah, he does play the piano for a while, and you can imagine a lot more Fouchon stuff like that in Wu's version, where they're kind of giving his character the same weight as Van Damme's character.
Yeah, that piano scene would again make a lot more sense if his part was bigger, because at the time it happens, it's like the most time he's been on screen, and it's like a 3-minute long piano part that he's playing. So it would be good to deepen a character, but since you don't really know him yet, he's just that guy who's real into piano.
Yeah, and
we also know from Elephant that if you play the piano, you're a villain.
That is a fact. All right, put that on the bingo card. Villain plays piano.
I wonder, as I rewatching the film in my head. Well, we haven't talked about the third act surprise, I guess, where because they have to. It ends up that a secondary character that we might have known the missing father and knows Chance Boudreaux, Jean-Claude Van Damme, when he and Yancy Butler as Natasha Bender are looking for her daddy.
Dead team.
The secondary character gets killed. Almost makes it, gets killed, doesn't get the $10,000, and now it's personal, whatever. They start to go after Van Damme, who has figured out the plot. All this leads to the final, like the end of the movie is set in the bayou, where we meet
we get
Wilford Brimley somehow.
Yeah.
who commits so hard to the Cajun accent. Force of nature, Wilford Brimley as Uncle Boudreaux.
And for 15 minutes, Brimley is in his own Michael Bay film inside this John Woo film, and it's glorious.
Yeah.
So this is the classic first part of the movie is in the city, and then it's like Crocodile Dundee. Then they take it to where the main character is more at home. Now they're on his turf. But then the whole thing ends up in a warehouse anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Oof. Okay.
Are we ready for reactions? Is it reaction time?
You know what? How about we do JCVD reactions first?
Okay. Uh-huh.
What's your experience with him? Because I think that this is like Jean-Claude Van Damme said when he was cutting out the Lance Henriksen storylines, people are coming to see a JCVD film.
Yeah. I think he was extremely aware and very career of his public image and his career arc and what he wanted. Like there was a lot of complaints when they were making the film that he was often offset on the phone, making deals for his next movie. He was less an actor and somebody that just wanted to have the stardom. I'm not a huge fan, but he did stumble into a few movies that I quite like, including this one. Sorry, Ryan. And then like Time Cop, I like quite a bit. And the Die Hard at the hockey game one is also quite good.
Sudden Death.
Yeah. So he did, those are two Peter Hyams movies, but which was a pretty good working relationship for Van Damme because he was definitely the best director he worked with more than once. How about you guys?
I saw Kickboxer when I was 9, maybe.
Mhm.
And that was the hardest shit ever. My friends and I all agreed. And then Bloodsport was even better. So we watched that one over and over and over again. I don't know why, but as soon as he became a Hollywood property, I lost all interest. I barely saw anything he made after Cyborg. And it was for some reason when it became, and this was the same with Seagal and a lot of those 80s guys for me, when they actually got the budget, it became less interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure why.
That may also apply to the person directing this movie if we're going to go there.
Could be. That sounds like we'd have to react. Thomas, what's your relationship with Mr. Van Damme?
So you said you did a Van Damme-a-thon with your spouse. Like how many did you watch and what was your great holistic view of the Van Damme?
Man, that's hard. Okay. We started off with some classics, which I'm surprised he didn't mention, Ryan, but this is his later oeuvre. We only went up to about 2000, but Double Team, where he's with Dennis Rodman.
That's a classic.
Knockoff, where he's with Rob Schneider.
Wow, I've never even heard of that.
The most accurate title of all time.
Hunting down counterfeit jeans, if I remember right. And then we also, maybe the best of those is where he, this is early, this is kind of like a bookend for it, has a twin.
Yes.
That he also plays called Double Impact.
And that was one where he worked with another, I forget the name of the director, another Hong Kong expat to kind of recreate the magic of Hard Target.
Yeah. Street Fighter is trash. The one thing I didn't watch during this time and we started making a list because we're not on Letterboxd to make sure we don't rewatch films too many times, is The Quest. I never saw, he directed and wrote and starred in The Quest.
Oh, I'm not aware of that one.
In 96. So that was a pretty large hole in our viewing. But we probably watched over a dozen.
Wow.
Some of them started to blend into each other, like the second and third Universal Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw JCVD maybe on re-release, the movie, maybe on re-release, and had seen Bloodsport and Kickboxer and kind of those father-sons type movies. We could both understand this film because there's kicking and punching and blood, and pain. And so, I liked JCVD a lot as a reflection and almost an apology for the films that I quit when I quit wanting to watch them, to where he was at in the late aughts, if I remember right, when that came out.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
So Woo.
Are we gonna talk about Woo?
Let's talk about Woo, because one of the things that this film did is open up. It's like one of the first studio released large budget films for a Asian director.
That is true.
Working in the Hollywood system,
Mm-hmm.
which would allow for other people to come in the 90s. I'm thinking like Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon. Nope.
Yeah.
Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger?
Sure.
Okay.
And Ong Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody loves Ong Lee.
But,
okay.
This, I think that I don't think that this is his best film.
No. It's his best American film.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Provocative.
Woo.
Definitely is. It's not even close.
That's ludicrous, what you just
said
right there.
Well, so he had been working nonstop through really this film. So, I mean, there's an era of Woo that we now consider like the formative Woo, like the Better Off Tomorrow through Hard Target. And then from there, it's like almost a 3-year delay until he does the other movie with Hard in it. What is it? Hard Blast, the John Travolta movie with Christian Slater.
Oh, shit. I knew what that was called until you said it.
Yeah, Hard Blast. Hard Blast. Yeah, I love that movie. And then, he makes Face Off. And by Face Off, it's really... I have this thing where like certain artists where they have a formative period of their career where they're continually leveling up. And then after a certain point, they kind of level out. And it's interesting what some artists do once they reach that point to keep that fire. And some, I would put Woo in the same camp of like M. Night Shyamalan, where it's almost you become like a product and it becomes commoditized, where you have the two guns in the hand and the birds. And it's almost like a pastiche. After a certain point, I'm specifically talking about Face Off, which we've already discussed on this podcast.
This is fascinating.
Not a fan. And it doesn't feel genuine. And then there, like particularly in the finale of Hard Target, it just feels like genuine, classic, having a great time making a shootout John Woo from his earlier films. And by the time you get Face Off, it's like John Woo making a version of what John Woo was. And it no longer feels authentic.
But this, for mass audiences, I would argue Face Off is the first time they've even had a chance to see a John Woo movie. Which
I was talking about earlier, like I came from it from the opposite side, where I'm old enough to have hunted down the VHS copies of like The Killer and Hard Boiled before Hard Target even came out. If you watch Face Off and you go back, I think it's maybe a little bit different experience, which might be part of my problem with Face Off. So having seen him get to the point where he's John Woo and he's making a John Woo movie instead of just being a director.
Yeah.
That's really where I started falling off.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, for so many of us, it was like seeing Face Off and then hearing about, I remember watching Entertainment Tonight and them talking about the Doves. And that was like the first time I heard of John Woo was like a iconic director. I remember him coming to America and the press around that, but Face Off was the first time where it was like, whoa, this is a dude and he's doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just, like William Friedkin and Jade having a car chase. It's like David Caruso's like, I'm in a William Friedkin car chase. But like when he was making French Connection, it wasn't like Gene Hackman was saying that. But by the time you get to Face Off for Woo, it's like Nicolas Cage and John Travolta are like, I'm in a John Woo movie. Chow Yun-fat never said that. He just making a movie with one of his great collaborators, and they wanted to make the best, biggest movie they could. But there was not that weight of what it should be, and I think that kind of hobbled him as a director.
Yeah, that's a fascinating insight.
All right, before we get to reactions from the Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana, I'd like you to know about this other Louisiana classic, Risky Beignet. Ecstatic when his parents leave on vacation, high school senior Joel Bob Great Son, his weekend fun times go wrong when his car sinks into Lake Pontchartrain, and not your average everyday pimp takes possession of Great Son's mom's prized crystal art. Great Son puts his beignet sense to use, turning his modest mansion into a bakery and selling deep-fried pastries of French origin to his friends, hungry for that sweet, white, powdery goodness. In the meantime, impressing admissions advisor to the Culinary Institute of America. There are some amazing shots of the trolley line.
Perfect film.
So, yeah, come take some shots in the other LA.
5 stars, no whammies for risky beignet.
Risky beignet. I love it. Before we get to reactions, would you like to talk about Squibs first?
Oh, we could go out of order again.
Yeah, let's do it, because I guess I hadn't watched it from the point of view of Squibs before this movie. I've seen it a number of times, and I was amazed. We could do rat-tat-tat before we get to Squib reactions. Like I said, we don't really get one until the other guy gets hunted down. The second guy, not not the dad at the starting.
The person I was talking about is the secondary character, who is also a veteran, and was Elijah Roper is the character, played by Willie Carpenter,
and he's there to kind of give credence, I think, to the veteran line.
Well,
because he
don't use the word credence when there's a CCR song at the end of this film. You confuse folks. No, this he's there because New Orleans has about 8 people in it. If you don't count the 15 cops that are on strike. Which we forgot to mention that there is something in this backstory where I guess this is a moving operation where they go in and they either set up a strike or they go to places where there's a lack of law enforcement in the United States versus like going outside the country where it might be easier. Having your own island where people crash. That's an idea.
He mentions that they have done this in the recent unpleasantness in Serbia, and they did it a year before in Brazil. So it's an international operation. It's a pop-up. And I think the police being on strike is a weird plot point that's never really. Yeah, I mean, you have the cops saying, "Without cops, the city stops."
Yeah,
like, does it? let's give it a try and see, guys. But it never really comes up again.
Well, it does in the sense that Casey Lemon's character, Detective Mitchell, has to celebrate her birthday by herself with a sad pastry and a single candle.
That's it.
That she puts in her desk when somebody shows up.
I don't.
Why did she have to hide it? Did she think that she was going to have it stolen?
She's ashamed of eating her birthday cake alone. Why'd they do Cassie Lemons that way? That's what I want to know.
Well, she does get a few shots off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she gets a few shots off after she is shot.
That's true.
Yeah,
but she is. I mean, she's there to set up the plot, right? So she has to say, like, well, if you're missing, you have to be missing from. You have to have somewhere that you're missing from.
Mm-hmm.
So that her dad is not being homeless means that he cannot be a missing persons, and forcing. Oh my goodness, this is a lot of plot, isn't it? Especially when we compare it to Terminator in some level. Like Terminator has time travel and is a lot cleaner than Van Damme being a merchant, but he hasn't paid his dues, so he's
an able seaman.
$100 is a lot of money for a day, and he wants to know what it's for. Like there's some lines I guess he won't cross.
Yeah, but then, like I said, once Mr. Roper, Norman Fell is in this movie as Mr. Roper. He gets chased down. You get loud shirts, very hard, easy to find for the hunters.
They already had 3 people, so 4's not company 2.
And then we get that chase in the cemetery, which I think is great, and that's when the squibs really start flying.
Yeah, because the opening of this film, I think, and this is almost a reactions, is teaching you how to watch the film, or it's setting some expectations. And having a gun that shoots an arrow, and then alongside a person who just like shoots some type of rocket missile, alongside machine guns.
Yep.
Alongside I don't know if we see Lance Henriksen's pistol rifle or not in that opening scene, but I think it does help establish that these are just going to be your action figures with whatever they game with as far as their weapon.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they even look like action figures, some of those guys. You have the cigar guy, you have the sunglasses guy.
Oh, shoot. We have a sunglasses at night for the bingo card, don't we?
Uh-huh, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. The squibs start with Mr. Roper, and he gets chased into the French Quarter. Sam Raimi's brother gets an opportunity to push him away. And that's it. That's his cameo. And then he proudly, once he's cornered, he straightens up proudly and then gets all of the squibs meant for Willem Dafoe in Platoon. Pretty gory. I can see why they felt some of this film was a little bit too much. There are some mid-80s level squibs in this film.
Yeah, it's got some good ones.
We have a windshield squib, which is pretty good when they shoot the windshield. I quite like that one for a non-blood squib. One of my favorites was a guy who is sliding on the ground on his motorcycle and gets shot while he's sliding. That was a great motorcycle squib. We have a snake squib.
Yes, we do.
I do like it when animals get shot in films, so that might be getting my vote.
And then like Cigar Guy, the Cigar Guy action figure, he has some amazing squibs when he finally gets his. Extremely bloody. Well done on the practical squibs.
Yeah, I think Roper's gets close to like RoboCop, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because Roper, for those of you who haven't seen the film, do yourself a favor and watch it. There's a terrifying moment where this homeless vet is running around that we've come to know a little bit of his backstory and be rooting for him. He's kind of pressured into the game, and it's just asking for help. But he's been shot when he gets out of the cemetery, and yeah, he's just asking people for help, and nobody wants to help this dude because he's bloody, right? He just seems like he's asking for a handout.
Yeah, someone even says, "Get a job." America. You're a veteran, and you're bleeding, and you're homeless. Get a job.
Yeah. Ooh, that scene.
Oh, okay. A reaction.
I've already seen Ryan's Letterboxd review, so we don't need to even talk about Ryan.
Okay.
That's fine.
Ryan, you're cut out. No.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll do a quick one from the Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana just to get this one out of the way.
Yeah, what did they think
to
of
build even more suspense. Pig Easy. A forager living alone in the swamp, played by Nicolas Cage, must return to his past in New Orleans in search of his beloved pig after she's kidnapped. Looks like another cooking movie, as the previous one was. So, anyway.
Setup than
Pig. What? There's a
Sounds
movie
like
called
a better
Pig?
setup than the other Nick Cage pig movie.
Hey, don't interrupt the bit.
So come take some shots in the other LA.
I see.
That was, when we redid Pig, I actually mentioned that it would have been better if it was a city steeped in culinary history. And if it was in New Orleans, it would have been great.
Yeah.
The Pig Easy.
Or in Montreal.
Yeah, Pig Easy. I love it. Great title. Well done, Thomas. Hard Target. I love it. I still love it. I think it's goofy. I think Van Damme's stunt double is one of the worst replacement body types I have maybe ever seen. And it really made me realize how little of his own stunts Van Damme did. But the ending shootout, the rest of the movie could all be garbage. I don't think it is. I love Henriksen in it. I like the girl. I like Roper. It's a likable cast. And Wilfred Brimley, total scene stealer, makes the ending. But that shootout in the warehouse is just fantastic.
I'm not going to take any issue with the shootout at the end. I'm going to say, for the plot, we get the initial hunting of a human, where we get a little bit of that information. We get the daughters coming looking for her dad, get a little bit of that information. And then we get a hero shot of Jean-Claude Van Damme's ass in the restaurant and his mullet. And I really like that opening scene where she comes in and counts her money. He follows her out, looks in the reflection in the mirror, like he will at another time in the film, but also Terminator. We see that a lot. Some mirror action, and follows her out. And there's a moment right before he's intervening as she's about to get mugged and potentially raped in the middle of the street in New Orleans, because there's nobody on the streets.
No cops.
Well, no people either. And not that cops aren't people, but just I think we're going to have some differences in opinions on our boys and gals in blue whenever it comes to RoboCop. But Jean-Claude Van Damme's character, Chance, whips back his duster.
It's
where you
corduroy.
would normally have a pistol and a Western. And what he's revealing is his leg, because his leg is the weapon.
But it's corduroy. That makes
kick.
it so funny.
It's so amazing. And at one point he kicks somebody on a motorcycle, one of the dogs, as they're called, on the motorcycle. And Lee was like, did he just break his neck? Because the impact is so brutal of the momentum of somebody on a motorcycle and his kick. He rides a motorcycle. He doesn't drive, but he rides a horse and rides a motorcycle like a surfboard in this film. I don't think we can skip over all this amazing stuff that is in it that makes little sense. I do think that by the time we get to the factory in the bayou, or the warehouse in the bayou that holds the Mardi Gras parades floats for whatever reason,
they got to store them somewhere, Thomas.
I guess let's store them way out of town where it's cheap. Makes sense. Yeah. Let's also fill them with explosives and confetti, so when they get shot, confetti comes out.
Yeah.
I take some notes here, Nuggets of Mayhem, or whatever your name is, in the Portland Mardi Gras parade. You need to have a float that explodes with
confetti.
Or else it's not a parade. I think the tone of the film shifts a little bit in that, and especially with the final boss kill at the end. And I think one of the things that changes a little bit is Van Damme is shooting and kicking people. And there's no need for both. It's like they're trying to invent, what'd you guys call it in the John Wick 2 episode? Gun fu?
Gun fu.
Yeah.
Gun fu. But they haven't quite got there yet.
Yeah.
This is like the amphibian walking, like slowly making it onto land, or the lungfish.
Well,
slowly evolving into something.
That's a really good point, because in the John Wick 2 episode, we talked about that the only way they could get away with the choreography in the John Wick movies is with digital gun flash and squibs. And here in Hard Target, we're dealing with obviously very practical and I think this, of all the Squib movies, may have the most obvious level of padding on the people getting shot, just because the squibs are so big.
Well, they also, I don't know if you saw this in any of the research, but John Woo had them put like bulletproof glass over the cameras, or around the cameras, because the explosions in that warehouse scene were so big. For the gunshots and just general kicking a gasoline can and shooting it. Explosive shotgun shells, I guess, whatever. The shotguns in this and the next film, magical.
Totally.
They can blow a hole through anything. So yeah, there was a lot of shrapnel, debris, stuff flying around in that shooting that they needed to protect the camera. And maybe the person behind it, but at least the camera.
Yeah, Russell Carpenter, the DP, it was like one of the toughest things he's ever had to shoot, both for the explosives and just because that warehouse, to light it for any individual scene was so complicated because of all the placements of the float pieces and then the fire. And so logistically, extremely complicated.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, another Cameron connection, because he would go on to do a bunch of films after True Lies for lensing for Cameron.
On Blu-ray, this is a great-looking movie. It still looks great. 32 years later, Jesus Christ. Wow.
So, Ryan, what did you think about how it looks, the film?
It looked pretty good. Looked all right.
Okay. Right. What's your favorite scene from the film?
Wilford Brimley riding a horse away from an explosion while screaming, and I believe holding a shotgun. That is...
It's a Peckinpah shot. It's slow motion.
Yeah, that's maybe...
There's so much slow motion in this film.
That shot should be remembered eternally. It should,
okay, good.
It should echo through the halls of Valhalla. Wilford Brimley.
But the rest of the movie just doesn't work for you.
Just total trash.
Well,
no, that's a little... That's too much. The ending is good. The gun action is all good. It's too... The parts that are pat Hollywood storytelling, there's just too much of it. it's out of balance, and that makes sense that JVCD wanted to center his character more.
Yeah.
I prefer 1932's The Most Dangerous Game and 1998's Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode Homecoming 98, which features Slayerfest 98, which is the platonic ideal of this story.
You just want to get Thomas on your side.
My ears perked up because that's with Mr. Trick, right? Where he's like, we could just hire these people to do the killing for us. I'm a vampire, but I have good business sense and fashion sense.
Honest to God, Ken, when the motorcycles at night came out in Hard Target, I was immediately reminded of Slayerfest, and that it was really hard to forget afterwards because I enjoy that episode so much.
Okay.
Anyway,
so,
sorry for the comparison.
Before I forget, I did attempt to watch Wu's English language remake of The Killer last year. And going from this Hard Target movie, his first English language film, to his remake of his own film, The Killer, is pretty sad.
Yeah.
And you could see the level of practical effects in this movie, and then just trying to logistically figure out some of these crazy stunts that they do with nothing digital whatsoever. And then to compare it to the Killer, which is all digital, has that weird, almost AI sheen to it, and is just dreadful.
Yeah.
Unwatchable.
Yeah.
It's quite stunning and kind of sad for someone who was a fan back in the early 90s, since the early 90s.
Well, and that's one of the things that hearing your take on this film and on Wu in general is really fascinating to me, because I saw Face Off and then went backwards and saw the Hong Kong stuff, but I've always felt that Wu was a great example of a filmmaker who, in his own environment, in Hong Kong, is majestic. And then he gets to Hollywood and it's just frustrated attempts at getting anything across.
Mm-hmm.
And then Face Off, to me, is that one time where he's able to really do something that is recognizable as in his, known aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's the Nick Cage and John Travolta show. And I completely understand how you, coming as a fan, it's like Face Off is to you what Pavement's Brighten the Corners is to me. It's obviously a Pavement record, but it feels like Pavement pretending to be Pavement.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see how that would frustrate you.
Yeah, it's the level up until you level out. And this is a great pairing, because the next week's director, Cameron, how he faced similar creative obstacles to continually level up instead of leveling out.
Yeah.
And also for research, and so I don't forget to mention it, I did watch a year or two ago Hard Target 2. Hard Target 2. No, there's no French in it. It takes place like on an island, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Who was the main character?
Who's the main character?
Our main actor, I meant.
You know who it is.
Professional MMA fighter Wes Baylor.
Whoa, well done.
Yeah.
You're a fan, I take it, Ryan.
I'm a fan of Wikipedia. Shout out.
Okay.
I was surprised that this movie was so tied to The Most Dangerous Game, because it does not really the concept is loosely taken, very loosely, but it feels like there's other stuff in Hollywood history that's closer to The Most Dangerous Game that isn't directly associated with it, So it was a weird choice to try and sell this as a pure adaptation.
Well, I don't think it was, but we may get into inspiration, similars type stories in next week's episode a little bit.
Yeah.
Actual
and
lawsuits.
Maybe, yeah.
Provocative.
And maybe, it might be there preemptively to just so that people understand that, yes, this is that concept, the most dangerous game. Also, maybe in that 30 minutes, we get more of Henriksen's character and could better understand, I don't know, the balance. Because in the book, or in the short story,
mm-hmm.
the Russian general Zarov, he's a more formidable character, and he's presented as somebody who's part of like who's just disenfranchised by like World War One and other pieces. Like he has a philosophy behind what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't like this film lacks. I'm going to say this, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that this film lacks characters. Like there are action figures in it, but I don't think that there are characters.
I kind of agree, but also I think Henriksen and Voslow's relationship, and mostly just Henriksen's frustration with the people he's working with, I find it. He's able to make it both really funny and still be a believable bad guy.
Yeah.
He just gets so upset with the people he's working with.
But the people he's working with, he has the dogs, which are faceless because they have motorcycle helmets on. Motorcycle people who he could just like call up more of them. They respawn at some point, right? Because a lot of them die. I don't know how many of them die, but he just gets more of them. He has a helicopter pilot that he probably pays.
Yeah.
He has Dark Man 2 / The Mummy, and he kills him, the coroner on the payroll. But aside from that, like everybody else who's helping him out seem to be people who are paying him to do the hunt, and he treats them like shit. He treats his customers terribly. Maybe they're into that. Maybe you get to a certain point as like I don't know, an oil tycoon, big game hunter, and then you need somebody to yell at you.
I don't know, anybody who's ever worked in like a public facing job, at some point you get to the point where it's like, this would be a perfect job if it weren't for the people. And I feel like he embodies that so much. And he's so frustrated with them. I don't know. I just find it absolutely delightful. And part of me kind of wants to watch the extended version with more Henriksen.
It would be fascinating. I would, as much as I didn't like this one very much, I would be interested in seeing that one to see what else it brings to the table.
I want to see him setting up franchises. I want to see him licensing out this deal, because it's weird to take the protagonist from Most Dangerous Game. I'm sorry, the protagonist, but the antagonist, like the villain from it, who is the hunter, and then instead make the hunter somebody who lets other people pay him to set up hunts of human people.
That's why it reminded me so much of Slayer Fest as opposed to the original, because of that he's not a Zaroff type figure. He's not looking to get something out of it besides money.
You're saying Buffy the Vampire Slayer ripped off Hard Target is what I'm hearing.
I mean, I absolutely would not be surprised if that's where the inspiration for the episode came from. They certainly are ripping off all the B-movie stuff they can find.
Okay.
Yes, Zaroff just has much more of a grounded motivation, and that makes it easier to interpret. I think the characterization thing, I mean, when Wu is at his best, it's not like his characters are really deep, but they are so iconic. You know, he's just a master of this giant 50-foot tall, totally cool looking image. Like almost, I think of him, their styles are very different, but I think of him a lot like Michael Mann, the way he plays with iconography. But similar to Mann, if it's not exciting, then you can notice that the characters are pretty thin.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. I mean, for me, Michael Mann's really a process dude.
Sure.
Who wants to understand how these things work.
Yeah.
And I think Wu's is best whenever he's doing a little bit of a soap opera.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's something in this film where he doesn't, because it's a script, like it's a script that maybe came to him through Raimi in the studio, and it's also changed from Kurt Russell being more of a cowboy probably Bayou figure, to Jean-Claude Van Damme being a martial artist, I don't know, decorated veteran who's working as a longshoreman or something now, as a qualified seaman.
Able seaman,
thank you. I think that there's something, and that mutations that keep happening that just keep this from being, I mean, of course it's not going to be the Hong Kong films, but it also keeps it from even being Face Off for me.
Well, and
I mean, Well, we're going to talk about this next week with James Cameron. I mean, Woo in Hong Kong, obviously he couldn't do it in America because of the language barrier, but he was either a writer or a co-writer or story credits for all his classic films there. And then he comes to America where it's kind of like he becomes a director for hire. He's no longer the guy that's running his own shop. He becomes a director for hire. And I think that has also an effect on the quality of his films as he goes along in the States.
Well, and
Wait, did you just say that we're doing next week's episode with James Cameron?
Yeah, he's going to be here.
That's so much better than Shannon. I'm glad that we were able to bump her to get him.
Jimothy Cameron is coming?
Yeah. He's already looked at my setup and he's not a fan.
No,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, he's down in Malibu.
Okay, so down at at the very end, that's a lot of fun. You get the back-to-back John Woo thing of them talking to each other with a wall between, a thin wall between, and there's even two guns, maybe while Wilt's leaping through the air. I'm not 100%. But the end of this film, I wonder if Sam Raimi got involved, where he's like, it should be a little bit of slapstick, because to drop a grenade down somebody's pants as your finishing move, and then to have that person like unscrew it, and then it's still like in a Looney Tunes go off.
I didn't know you could do that with a grenade. I thought that was so cool, actually.
That's really funny, and one of the. Well, I mean, you already have the sweet ass kill with the Mummy. That is a great 10 out of 10 video game type kill, and I like the contrast with Henriksen, because Henriksen is more character based. He's just frustrated and he just wants to fucking kill him, and it's very emasculating to throw a hand grenade down his pants
after he's been on fire.
Yeah, that's really Henriksen, man.
Yeah,
that was.
He still has the goo on him in some of the shots.
Yeah,
yeah,
flame retardant goo.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it is cool. The Arnold Vosloo character, Darkman 2 / The Mummy, whenever he's trying to get the grenade out, and it's a little ambiguous if he's handing him the grenade or if he's trying to kill them both with the grenade.
Yeah,
but just that final moments of vengeance / well, it's gonna be vengeance either way. Like either like he's trying to kill both of them, or he's like, go fuck some more shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cajun badass.
Also with this film and next week's film, the lack of budget sometimes creates so much ingenuity in a lot of these action scenes and the logistics of them, that once you have everything, talking about Face Off, when that is no longer an object like budgetary constraints, it changes something about the feel of the films. And
certainly,
yeah, Cameron is an interesting case in that as well.
So I think this is a good case, if we're going to use the word case over and over again, for a dumb action film.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Before we go, though, we need to have the best squibs of this movie. Does anybody have?
Oh, wait. The Squibs brought to you best and worst by the Film and Streaming Board of Louisiana, reminding you that Louisiana is the other LA. For your viewing pleasure, also shot in Louisiana, Zydeco. In the early 1970s, fear grips the city of New Orleans as a serial killer called Zydeco stalks its residents. Times-Picayune reporter Jake Gyllenhaal becomes obsessed with breaking the killer's code and learning the killer's identity, seizing upon the clue that most homes in New Orleans don't have basements. So come take some shots in the other LA.
Woo. Hard Target, best squib. I quite like the snake squib. I don't know if it counts because it was just a fake snake head. I really like the dude sliding on the motorcycle and at the same time having a squib. That was new. Anything, you guys?
I like quantity. So
are you going
the Roper squibs? Yeah.
Okay. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Thomas.
Okay.
Because it seems like there's a good physicality to it as well. Whenever you know that those explosions might be what's driving their body to jerk like that, and not just the actor.
Okay. Do we have a worst?
There's a missing squib, I think. Or like an opportunity for a squib that would have been awesome.
Same.
Yeah.
Here. So I wrote down there's no squib when she shoots dude in the dick repeatedly.
Ah, yeah,
And you've
that's
seen this film more than the rest of us can. I think that she is going to refer to the daddy's daughter, played by Butler.
Yancey Butler.
As Natasha Binder. But it shoots somebody, I guess, in the Mardi Gras scene, in the warehouse scene.
Yeah, it's the guy says, "You fucking bitch," and then it's a great opportunity for some great squibs, and she shoots him in the dick. But you're right, he gesticulates like he's getting shot.
Yeah, and then is that when she tosses the gun to Van Damme and he grabs it upside down and shoots upside down with it?
It's in the same sequence. I don't know if it's directly related.
Okay.
That's a pretty badass move too. I like Wilford Brimley's like, "Oh, we're the only ones who could save him." And then she shoots a guy and says, "What are you doing?" He takes the gun away from her. Make up your mind. He's drinking too much whiskey.
Yeah. But I think it's because the arrows are silent and the guns make noise. So he was just going to go kill all of them, Navy SEAL style, silently.
Those arrow cutaways just really remind me of Raimi more than Wu. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
They would have a POV though, I guess, if it was full Raimi.
Oh, that would be amazing. It would go along the shaft and then down the head.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
It goes straight in. There'd be a face shot, and he would see him coming.
Gross.
Maybe
is that it?
Should have shot adult films.
Agreed. There's still time, Sam, if you're listening.
Come out to Louisiana. We'll do some shots.
Yeah, thank you for the State of Louisiana Film and Streaming Board for being our sponsor this week. Thank you to the City of New Orleans. Thank you to Creedence Clearwater Revival. Thank you to Wilford Brimley.
Yes, most of all.
Most of all, thank you to Ryan for the theme song.
Oh, yeah. Well, Wilford is all the inspiration I need.
Very good. You have his picture from this movie, all hairy and mustached, right above your keyboard.
I am gonna get a screen cap of him motorcycling away from that explosion before I return the DVD to Hollywood's Movie Madness.
He is on horseback.
He is. What did I say?
You said motorcycle.
I misspoke several times in a single sentence. It's really impressive.
Yeah, but not unusual.
Our 99 and a half listeners.
I guess it's unusual that I'm aware of it.
Next week, as I said earlier, we'll be joined by James Cameron to discuss Terminator from 1984.
Woo!
I'm really much looking forward to that.
I think we both gave a little bit of reaction.
Yeah. To quote Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator, "We will return."
Great job. Just great.
Thanks. I've been working on it all morning.
Than I've ever.
Oh boy. See you guys.
Bye.
Follow Walker down South American way. It got squibby, sticky, messy when they got there that day. Peyton lost his love and so he made a face. Django met a dentist, but big holes in little brains. Montoya's chest exploded, somehow wasn't the cocaine. And there were squibs when they died. There were squibs when they died. Squibs when they died, yeah, they made a big mess, and then they died.
Daddy.
Trash.
I done her up the bit.
And pain.
I done her up the bit.
Provocative.
It's also going to happen sometimes in movies where you are introduced to a character